but I tried to bake cookies in it once and it went terribly. So I've seen the tiny cups that they have in restaurants. Ain't nobody walking around town carrying a 40-ounce hydro flask, okay? It was just me. What is up, my Tomodachis, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be useful for you if you ever plan on visiting Japan, studying abroad to Japan, or even maybe one day moving to Japan. As you can tell by my recent video, I am back in Hawaii now after living in Japan for 2 whole years. So to kind of close that chapter in my life, today I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I learned while I was in Japan for 2 years. A little disclaimer, I did spend more time in the countryside than I did in the city. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. The first category is food. The foods that I missed are the 3 P's. Okay, what are the 3 P's? Go ahead, try and guess. Try and guess what the 3 P's are. Okay, you give up? Pizza, peanut butter, pickles. Alright, for some reason these 3 items were hard to find, for me at least. I missed like a good messy pizza, like a cheap, big, oily, greasy, pepperoni, mushroom sausage, that kind of stuff. I could not find that while I was in Japan. In Japan, a lot of the pizza has corn, mayonnaise, sweet potato, shrimp. They got all these sweet flavors on a pizza. So I worked as a teacher in Japan. One thing that surprised me was that when I would draw pepperoni pizza on the board, of course I would add those red circles, of course, you know, artists. But the students would always ask me why I was drawing tomatoes on the pizza, because they don't have pepperoni. The thing with peanut butter was that it always just tasted fake to me. I could not find like the chunky peanut butter that tasted really real. And then for pickles, you know, like those giant dill pickles, I miss those so much. They're just huge, crunchy, delicious pickles. Could not find that. So if you plan on living in Japan, you might miss pizza, pickles, and peanut butter. Aside from that, ramen is cheap. You can get a good bowl of ramen for like $5-6, maybe $7. Here in Hawaii, a good bowl of ramen is anywhere from $15 to $20. It's outrageous. I feel like I'm being robbed. Also, the kaiten sushi, even though it's dollar sushi on the conveyor belt, the quality is really good. That was one thing that kind of surprised me, was that I was going to dollar sushi a lot and the quality was great. Another thing, McDonald's and fast food chains. Alright, the sizes are gonna be way smaller than they are in America, especially burgers. Oftentimes I found myself ordering 2 burgers just to feel full. Also, this is a very small thing I noticed, was that they never give you ketchup unless you ask for ketchup. And if you ask for ketchup, they'll only give you 1. I noticed that in America, when you ask for ketchup, they'll always give you like a handful, and it'll be like 6 packets. But in Japan, they'll literally just give you 1 packet, and you have to be like, oh, could I get like 1 more? And sometimes they'll look at you and be like, more ketchup? Despite having smaller sizes of drinks and burgers at McDonald's, they do have seasonal items, and it was always exciting to see like what kind of new items they would have. During the summertime, they also had a campaign where they made these like Hawaiian style burgers, like Loco Moco style burger, which is funny because we don't even have that in Hawaii. We don't really have seasons, so everything kind of stays the same. You can buy the same things any time of the year. But in Japan, they take this to the next level. There are so many foods in Japan that just come and go depending on what month it is. And I found this chart that perfectly describes this. From January to March, strawberry. From March to April, cherry blossom or sakura. From May to June, matcha, green tea. From June to July, cherry. From July to August, watermelon. From August to September, peach. August to October, grapes and pears. October to November, sweet potato, chestnuts, pumpkin. From December to January, oranges. And I'll tell you, in these months, Coca-Cola will almost always have like a Coke collab with like a fruit. I've had peach, orange, strawberry cola, and you can only buy these cola drinks in the specific season. So Japan's seasonal items on point. This one's kind of random, but when it comes to fruits, you don't always eat the skin. One thing I noticed was that when I was eating apples or pears during school lunch, the kids would always look at me funny because I was eating the skin. I think apples, pears, grapes, you generally don't eat the skin. It's usually almost always peeled before you eat it. So if you don't want to get looked at funny, peel your fruits. Another thing that they don't really have is tub ice cream. I think this kind of just relates to Japan just having smaller sizes of things. If you want ice cream, usually the convenience stores will have all kinds of ice cream, but you'll never be able to find just like a huge bin of ice cream. Alright, next on my list is cafes. Japanese cafes are beautiful, especially in the countryside. I would say actually cafes on the countryside were better than cafes in the city. Cafes in the city, not only are they smaller, but they're packed with more people. It's harder to get a seat. It feels like they don't want you in there that long. Whereas cafes on the countryside, they're big, they're beautiful, there's like flowers everywhere, the owners and the workers are always super nice. Just the whole atmosphere is way better, in my opinion. I really miss going to cafes in Japan. One thing I didn't know before was that every single prefecture in Japan has at least one Starbucks. That's pretty cool. So that pretty much covers my category on food. Next category is seasons. Summer is f***ing hot and moist. I couldn't believe how moist it was. It's so humid. Sweat just dripping down your back. If you do not like humid places, I would not come to Japan from June, July, August. Those are the hottest times. Also in the summertime, there are bugs everywhere, which I will get back into soon. Uniqlo makes this thing called airism, which God bless Uniqlo, because airism is fantastic. It's like this super thin undershirt that you can wear that actually makes you feel cool. Perfect for summer. I get the feeling that in Japan they do not drink enough water. I'm just gonna say that bluntly. I've seen the tiny cups that they have in restaurants. Ain't nobody walking around town carrying a 40-ounce hydro flask, okay? It was just me. I think because of this, a large part of the population does actually suffer from heat strokes. So because of that, they do eat these like salty candies that are just like salt. Not only that, but they have Aquarius and Pocari Sweat, which are just kind of like salty sports drinks, which I love. I think they're fantastic. Autumn, I would say, was a really good time for hikes. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. The trees are beautiful. Best time for hikes, and also visiting shrines, because the shrines look even more beautiful when they're surrounded by those kind of orange leaves. During autumn is, of course, Halloween. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, I would check out Osaka or Tokyo, because it is crazy. The amount of people that are out just in the streets in costume, I couldn't believe how many people I was seeing. They have gotten a bit rowdy in recent years. It was just a great time. I would recommend it if that's what you're into. Next is spring. Spring, in my opinion, was the best season by far. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. There's cherry blossoms everywhere. It's freaking beautiful. There were a lot of times after work where I would just drive around just to like see the cherry blossom trees in my area. Another thing you can do is drink umeshu, plum wine, under the trees. Just hang out with your friends, you know? Which brings up another point about alcohol. You can drink in public. I didn't know that before going to Japan. I will talk more about alcohol in a second. So despite spring being the best season, of course, there is one thing that I was not expecting. There was one morning, and it wasn't just me, my friends agree. We woke up and the air just smelled like cum. Jizz. Now this might be an uncomfortable topic for you, but imagine being the one smelling it. We were all so confused. Why does the air smell like semen? And we actually looked it up. It turns out there's articles about this online. I think even Vice wrote an article about this, but the ginkgo trees, these beautiful yellow trees, are the cause of that horrible smell. And that is the reason why. Ginkgo trees. Who would have thought? Now, despite being from Hawaii and being really weak to the cold, I would say winter was not that bad. I loved my kotatsu setup. If you don't know what a kotatsu is, it's like this table that goes in the ground, and this thick blanket goes right under the tabletop in between the legs. And the legs have a heater attached to the bottom. So you can pretty much just chill underneath the table and get warmth. It's so nice. It's the definition of comfort. I don't think I've been so cozy in my life. Also in the wintertime, snowmen are made from 2 balls instead of 3. Maybe it's because people are just shorter. Also, instead of a top hat, they wear a bucket. I don't know how that happened. Maybe they just didn't have top hats back then. Going back to airism, the opposite of airism is heat tech. These 2 things saved my freaking life. I'm a skinny guy, alright? I needed to keep warm in the wintertime. And heat tech was the perfect piece of clothing that I needed to survive. It's just kind of like this thick undershirt that you can wear underneath your clothes, and it just traps the heat in, keeps you nice, warm, and snuggly. They even have like an underwear version that I would wear under my pants. So I was rocking heat tech top and bottom, baby. I didn't realize how hard it was to keep warmth in the apartment, especially with sliding doors. If you're someone that struggles in the wintertime, I would just be prepared for a Japanese winter. But one of the cool things about the wintertime is that all the bugs that you saw in the summer, they're dead. But speaking of bugs, that brings me to my next category, critters. I did not realize how many critters are in Japan. There are these bugs called kamemushi, okay? They stink. They smell like cilantro. Big roaches that you find in your house sometimes. Spiders, these giant spiders that appear in the summer. Wasps, centipedes. There are so many bugs in Japan. And I think the ones that terrorized me the most were kamemushi. These stink bugs. They look kind of like the shape of a shield, but they just kind of appear everywhere, and you can usually smell them before you find them. There was actually one time I hung my clothes outside to dry, and then when I went to bed, I remember taking some of my pajamas that were hanging outside, putting them on, going to bed, and when I woke up, I could smell the stink bug just all over me, and I was so confused. And I put my hand in my pocket, and I actually found a stink bug in my pocket that had probably climbed into my clothes while I was drying them. Japan also has a lot of frogs. Frogs love vending machines. They release that light that attracts bugs, so all frogs have to do is just stick to the vending machine, eat bugs, and get fat. So a lot of times when I was using a vending machine, I would see all these spiders everywhere.
You just peed on me.
Or frogs everywhere. So if you don't like frogs or spiders, you might want to stay away from vending machines. Okay, next on my list is alcohol. I didn't know this before moving there, but you are not allowed to have any sort of alcohol and drive. In America, of course, you can have like a beer, right? That's like the legal limit. Due to this fact, they have a service called Daiko, where 2 guys will come in a car, and one of them will get out and drive your car, and the other guy will follow from behind. It sounds really silly, but it works. The drinking and driving rule is actually so strict that I heard that if you're caught, you actually have to do like a public apology at your work in front of everyone. And if you're a public servant, they can actually dock your pay, or they could even fire you. Like, it's that severe. Also, because of this, they have non-alcoholic beer, just so that if you're at a party and you're the DD, you can at least pretend like you're drinking beer. And it's kind of amazing how close they can get the taste.
What did you buy?
Oh my god. So if you read that, it says non-alcohol.
What? I was wondering why they didn't ask me if I was over 18.
I don't know why you would need to feel like you're drinking beer, like you could just enjoy like a Coke or something, but I think this kind of relates to Japan's way of just kind of, you know, it's the image that they care about, that you're participating with everyone else. My next category was habits. Let's say you're living in an apartment or a house. If you don't want people to come into your house, definitely lock the door, because your genkan area is like a public space. So if you ordered mail or you have neighbors, they will come into your house. It happened to me occasionally where I'd be sleeping and I wake up to a sound that someone's in my house. Usually it was the mailman, but they would come into my genkan and wait for me to sign stuff. It's not really seen as intruding. I mean, to anyone in America, you know, you'd be kind of like, what the hell? Why is there someone in my house? In regards to like your apartment or living space, there will almost always be a bathtub. Taking a bath is so much ingrained into the culture, even if it's just like a small tub. My apartment had a bathtub that I could barely fit in, but it was still very nice. Most apartments have stovetops that come with a fish grill, which I never really saw before going to Japan. It's super nice if you are someone who loves to grill fish. For me, I never really did that, but I tried to bake cookies in it once and it went terribly. So just know that the fish grill is not for baking cookies. Also, mold. This one kind of goes back into what I was saying about the summertime where it's very moist and humid. You have to buy these things that just kind of suck up moisture. Put these in your closet or else your clothes will get moldy. The humidity kind of just like hangs out with you in your house and you don't realize it, but there is mold that grows because of this. This category is just honorable mentions. I didn't know where to put these, but they love illuminations. And for us, it's just kind of like Christmas lights or like lights. Almost every park has illuminations just for like nighttime. Sunsets, sunrises, they're so different in Japan. Of course, I think that's why they call it the land of the rising sun. But the sun actually does get red. I feel like I don't really see this in Hawaii. The sunsets just hit different in Japan. The kids love giving conchos, so watch out, protect your butthole. This is when, I don't know if you've seen Naruto, the kids love doing it, so watch out. Here's another random one, but I don't know if you've seen photos or just movies, but the streets in Japan always look so clean. And I think a main thing that I didn't know before was that there is no street parking. That is why you see these like nice clean roads. And also, sometimes the canals and like the sidewalks do have koi fish in them. I hope that this list wasn't too random for you. This was kind of just things I noticed while living there for 2 years. While I was scripting this video, I actually did remember a lot of stories or embarrassing moments that I had in Japan. So I figured after this video, I'm gonna make another video about embarrassing moments I had. So after this video, click over there, watch it. It's gonna be good, I promise. I still do have a lot of videos that I shot in Japan that I need to edit and get to you guys as soon as possible, but I'm also gonna start working on videos in Hawaii as well. So it's gonna be a mix of both in this coming year. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Also, of course, shout out to these 3 people for leaving a comment on my last video. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Hey, getting rich, we ain't whipping backs, dropping all them bangers, and I'm out here